Right. Hey, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started here in just about 60 seconds. We're very excited about today's conversations for after hours, conversations to help directors thrive in the COVID-19 era. So come on in. We, again, are going to get started here in just about 60 seconds and are thrilled to be hearing from our wonderful panelists that we're going to have in just a little bit. I've still got people coming in. Looks like we've topped a few hundred. Man, it's getting busy all of a sudden. All right. So before we get started, a couple of things I want to bring to your attention. First off, if you have questions tonight or comments, I would encourage you, throw them over in the questions bar for us so that your panelists can see what's on your mind. If there's something that you want to talk about or have us pull apart a little bit more thoroughly, be sure to put that in the questions and comments bar over to the side so that our panelists will have access to that. So again, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. As you're coming in, I do want to bring something to your attention. Next week, we've got another incredible conversation for after hours that's going to be kicking off. It's going to be April 28th on Bridging the Gap. We're going to be talking about retention techniques for the spring and summer. We've spent all of this time over the past years recruiting kids to our programs. And so next week, we're going to turn our attention to keeping those kids and retaining them in music. Now, one thing I'm going to mention to you is you will need to re-register if you're interested in joining us next week for after hours. You will need to.
I'm on a
for that. So, hey, Scott, what's up, buddy? And then May 5th, we are going to be talking about STEAM, not just STEM, advocating for the arts in our schools. We're going to be talking about how to communicate with your administrators and everything that you need to know so that if you're approached with a conversation about the role of arts and the importance of arts in your local program, you're going to know exactly what to say. We've got an incredible panel lined up for that. So it is 5:02. We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, kick any questions that you have over. I'm going to take off my screen share here. And we're going to introduce our incredible panelists for tonight. Really excited. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Tyler, I'm going to let you kick us off. Who are you? Where do you teach? What do you teach? And then let's keep things positive. Do you mind sharing with us in 2 sentences or less one thing that has just lightened your heart or that you've really enjoyed since all of this has started? Let's start with something positive.
Hey guys, I'm Tyler Hart. I am the band director at DeSoto Central Middle School in South Haven, Mississippi in DeSoto County. This is my 6th year of teaching in middle school and public school. And I teach 6 through 8 for the first part of the day, separate band classes, all ensemble-based classes. And then at the high school, I teach 4th block and teach the symphonic band up there every day. So that's pretty much my schedule. But something positive would be a couple of days ago, one of my students in my jazz band class asked if we could just get together on Zoom, not even talk about band and just catch up. And I was like, yeah, duh, of course. And then she invited me to be a part of that. So I got on a few minutes after they had started and we had a really nice, like 45-minute conversation, just shooting the breeze. Kids were catching up, telling jokes, having a good time. And it was a very positive interaction. And it's just really great to see that sense of community still thriving during this crazy time that we have going on right now. So that was definitely an enjoyment for me.
Love that. Thanks so much, Tyler.
Yeah.
Andrew Lynn, how you doing, man?
Doing fine, thank you. My name's Andrew Lynn. I'm from Stewart's Creek Middle School in Smyrna, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. I've been there since 2006, since the school opened. And we're 6 through 8 school, middle school. Just positive thing from the last couple of weeks. We've tried to stay in close contact with our kids and getting them involved in smart music assignments and doing solos and things. And we told them this week to just send us something fun that you're doing in music. And we've heard everything from kids sending us videos of the Andy Griffith theme. We had one kid, he sent us a Nearer My God to Thee because he wanted to play the song from the Titanic. And then he followed it up with something on harmonica and then recorder. So it's just been cool seeing the kids get excited and share that with us while we've been out.
Awesome. Very good. Hunter and Sebastian, what's going on in Arkansas, gentlemen?
Hey, I'm Hunter Durham.
And I'm Sebastian Isom.
We're band directors at Rivercrest in Arkansas, right outside of Memphis. And we teach 6th grade through 12th grade band and several general music classes. Something positive is we've been teaching about 65 to 70% of our entire program, about 30 minutes a week in individual lessons in Google Meet. It's been really nice getting to see the kids and getting to catch up with them and just check on their families and everything else.
Yeah, a specific one today, I was teaching a clarinet lesson to a sixth grader, a little bit of Sawmill Creek, and she was actually outside on her porch swing enjoying the weather. So it was an interesting teaching environment that I enjoyed.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. And our Zoom bomber, Mr. Scott Lang, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. My name's Scott Lang, and I'm with an organization called Be Part of the Music that disseminates free recruitment and retention materials for music education. I hope you get a chance to check us out. And probably the best part of this whole process, other than being able to spend time with my two boys and my wife, is, boy, it's really challenged me to learn and grow in a way that only a crisis can. And so it's been fun.
Awesome. Awesome. So for our panelists, I'm going to kick off and have you guys talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing right now, both past, present, and future as it relates to recruiting. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about how a normal recruiting cycle would look for you, and then tell us a little bit about what you're doing to adapt and overcome some of the challenges that you're facing right now as a result of the school closures. I think that'll give us a great idea about kind of where you stand right now in your recruiting cycle, because I know some people do it in the spring, some people continue over the summer, and some people do the majority of their recruiting in the fall. So Andrew, why don't you kick us off? Where have you been? What are you doing now? And what are you planning for the future as it relates to recruiting?
Sure, Nick. So normally most of our our recruiting enrollment actually takes place once we get school started in the fall, the first couple of weeks. And the main thing we do there is we have a parent meeting, and everything is geared towards getting those parents to that meeting so we can really share everything about that we want them to know about being in band and what the year is going to look like. In the summertime, we send out, we've got a really nice brochure that we send out that goes to every incoming family. We collect stats for one of our biggest challenges is just all the options that kids have at our school for being involved in so many things, and showing them that they can be in band and still be in those other activities. So we've got things that we send out to kind of show that and show those stats and that kind of thing. That goes out in the summertime. What we're normally doing this time of year is our fifth graders come over and get to do a tour of the school. And that tour ends with a band concert, and it's a big blowout. And we teach them the school fight song and the whole deal. And then we also have an open house one night, usually in May, and our jazz band gets to perform for that. So that's the part we're missing out on right now, is those performances and getting those incoming students seeing the current students perform. So what we're really looking at, I guess as our challenge or whatever, is for next year is getting those returning students visible to the incoming students and letting them see other kids play horns and see what they're going to be doing. So we're looking at ideas like, we know that coming back to school is going to be quite a celebration, I think, this time more than it ever has been. So we're looking at ways to get the band to be a part of that. In middle school bands, sometimes we don't think about that stuff as much like they do in high school. But we want the band to be the first thing they see when they come back to school. We want them just out and about and doing things. And we're looking at maybe doing some fun things like a little flash mob during the sixth grade lunchtime, just to get the kids out playing and that kind of thing. So that's the stuff we're looking at that might be a little different for next year.
Yeah, Andrew, I love that you use the word celebration, because I think that's a great mentality to approach, is that school's going to start back and that's going to be a celebration. And I want the band to be at the center of that celebration, to be leading the charge and to have the opportunity to showcase the band as we begin the recruiting. Have you had any conversation or communication with your administration about that? What kind of response are you getting, or is it still too early?
It's still a little bit early. We are going to get a chance to get in our building next week, and Brittany Gerald, my teaching partner, will both be in there together, kind of cleaning out the band room and doing things. But while we're there, we're going to have an opportunity to sit down with the principal and start discussing things. He's very supportive of the band, and anything we can do to add to, again, that celebration of school coming back. I know he's going to be all for that. And of course, we're going to, reap the rewards from that when it's time to start talking to those sixth graders and getting them involved in band.
Yeah. Well, I love that in advance of that conversation, you're prepared with solutions. You're going in there to say, this is how I'm envisioning the school year starting, and this is the role that I see the band playing in that. And you're coming to him with ideas and solutions rather than just questions and challenges. And I think that's so important right now because we have so many questions, but a lack of answers. And you're going in there prepared to share that with your administrator. That's great. Tyler, how about you guys? Give us a little insight on what you normally do and how we have adapted for this upcoming school closure.
Yeah, sure. So normally our recruitment really starts getting really heavy in February, actually. We usually start going over to, we have 2 feeder schools. We start going over there and we take our 6th grade band over and do a demonstration concert. And we introduce all the instruments to them one at a time. And it's a big, awesome thing to do. And the kids love it. They look forward to it every year. And then we go back over about 3 or 4 weeks later, and we do an aptitude test with them through the AMRO Aptitude Survey, which is really great. And then we start doing parent meetings, and we do a petting zoo, and then we get into the actual instrument testing itself. But our biggest challenge right now is really just getting in communication with every child. We have had some issues just getting everybody that doesn't have internet. So what we have been doing is sending out a bunch of packets to the elementary school music teachers and the elementary school principals. They're posting it on their websites. They have a drop-off area where parents can come and get packets for those that don't have like resources like a printer or anything like that. So we've been kind of just hitting up that. But I think the number one thing that we're going to aim at doing throughout the summer is kind of like a phone tree. I think calling is sometimes one of the most effective ways that you can get a hold of people. And so what I plan on doing is setting up some of my 6th grade parents and some of the other directors with a set amount of names, a list or a roster. And we're going to be calling as many of the current 5th graders as we can and just promoting our program, talking about everything that we do and how much fun band is. They have 3 choices in our school. They can do either PE, choir, or band. So we're really going to be promoting band as much as possible and promoting the arts as much as possible throughout the summertime. And then moving into the fall, similar to Andrew, we actually talked about doing a concert in the Commons. That's a big deal. Our principal loves when the band comes and plays in the Commons area in the mornings as students are getting off of the bus and coming in. We oftentimes will have the jazz band perform, or we'll just have the 8th grade pep band up there playing the fight song and doing things. And it really shows the sense of school spirit, and the kids really love that coming in first thing in the day, and they're just like ready to go. So I think, new kids seeing that we didn't catch, the new incoming 6th graders, they might see that, and that's the first thing, and they might want to do band after that. So, and then lastly, I would suggest just never be a stranger to the cafeteria. I love going down to the cafeteria during lunchtime. And in our school, we have about 2 weeks before they actually change the schedule or the timeline for the schedule to drop is. So we'll go to the cafeteria and just talk to some of the 6th graders that we know are not in the band and ask them, hey, are you sure you don't want to do the band? Or, is there something stopping you from doing it? Is there a sport or activity that you'd rather do? I'm just trying to get those extra kids that we didn't get in the first round. So, but that's what's going on with us.
Now, there we go. In Mississippi, it's really common, and I think it's a reflection of David Wilson, the director of bands at the University of Mississippi, for directors to be very active in calling students as part of the recruitment process. I mean, he has long since advocated for just picking up the phone and calling each parent and uncovering the objectives. Are you guys following a script for that, or are you just kind of saying, hey, call the parents, or what kind of structure are you providing those parents that are assisting with the phone tree?
I don't have a formal script right now. We're in the process of getting that together. But yeah, we will be using a script. And it basically is going to be short, simple, and sweet. Hi, my name is, I'm a sixth grade band parent, or I'm the head band director, and you really want to just focus on selling your program. Like, why would I want my kid to be a part of this band program? So something simple, like have some kind of catchphrase or a slogan for your program, like promoting excellence through the power of music, or be a part of the band for Mr. Scott Lang. So like anything can work, but you're just selling your program through those phone calls. And I think that personal touch and showing that I'm really interested in your child really goes a long way.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one of the things that I really love about that is I think sometimes parents have objections that may or may not be true, like you cannot do band in a sport or something like that. And it gives you the opportunity to address those objections that may be false and is preventing a child from enrolling in your program. And so you can overcome that. So we have David Wilson's script that he uses, and I'll be sure tomorrow we're going to be sending around an email with all sorts of resources. So I'll be sure to include that in there. He's got some great frequently asked questions. And to your point, Tyler, it's simple and it's clean, but it just, again, reiterates that we want your child enrolled in band. Now, you mentioned the Aptitude Survey as well, that you guys use that. And we've got a couple of questions here. What is the Aptitude Survey that you use? So we do have one that we've recorded at AMRO, and I'll be sure to include a link. It's completely free. It's on our website. You don't have to register. It's the same one that Tyler uses, so I'll be sure to include a link to that so that everybody has it with the resources that you'll receive in your inbox tomorrow. So to our guys in Arkansas, Hunter and Sebastian, hey, gentlemen, again, same question. Let's talk about past, present, and future, what you have done or will be doing as it relates to recruiting at your program.
Yeah, so what we usually do is we wait until testing's done in the spring, and mostly at the request of the homeroom teachers for the 5th grade class, because they usually have their plates full. And as soon as testing's over, usually around the end of April, we would go over, we'd take some of our junior high and high school students to model instruments, make sure we have all the instrument groups covered. I dress in a really fancy Hawaiian shirt, and I look as wacky as I possibly can. I drink a lot of coffee that morning, so I'm super energetic. And we basically run to the cafeteria while they're all there for an assembly. I give a little presentation with a slideshow and a video. I talk about all the instruments. I talk about what band is, what band isn't, kind of all the misconceptions I try and address with them. And then before they leave the room, we have them sign their name on a list so that before they even leave the cafeteria, we know exactly who wants to join and who doesn't. And then in the past, what we've done is they've immediately come over to the band room with us right after the assembly for instrument testing, for an aptitude test, and just to get to know the kids, get to know their names, get all their names down, their parents' phone numbers if they know them. And then I immediately send that list that same day to the counselors. The way that our scheduling works, it just so happens that they don't really have to shift anything around. And so they slide them all into our class, and the very next day they're there for band, ready to go.
That's great. Now let's talk a little bit about your PowerPoint presentation, because it's simple. I mean, you don't pull your whole band out and do this whole demonstration concert. It's simple and it's clean. But what I love about it is it works. I mean, it's not unusual now for you to recruit 60% or more of an entire class body to your band program. And so it works. So tell us a little bit about that PowerPoint, because I think we need to spend some time on that.
Yeah, do you want me to go and screen share that?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Is it popping up?
Yeah, you're good to go.
So, should do presenter view here in just a second. Sorry about that. There we go.
Yeah.
So very simple. I don't try to be flashy with it, but we like to put a lot of pictures of the band in the slideshow. This is the first thing that we show them, and it's a video that I've made that we can skip, but it's basically a comic book superhero type video. It's got us in it. It's just got a lot of video of the band playing. It's extremely energetic and fun. And then I define what band is for them. I explain the different kinds of band we have at Rivercrest, because a lot of kids think that they immediately join band and go straight to marching band, and that kind of scares them. And so we address that a little bit. I explain to them why they should join band, that everyone participates, everyone matters. We talk about some of the studies with the brain studies and the testing studies that show that people who study music score higher on tests. We talk about family. I like to bring up that one of our students tutors other junior high students in math constantly and helps them a lot with their grades. And so I bring that up and that, we help each other out in band. Then we go over the instruments. And at this point, I have all the high school kids explain their favorite memory in band, why they enjoy being in it. And then I have them play the instruments for all the kids so they know what it sounds like. I have a few volunteers that I take for holding the instruments. There's some kids that think the trombone's going to be heavier than a car, and they come and pick it up and they realize that it's really light. And so, it kind of dissuades the fear of huge instrument, I can't hold it, and stuff like that. And then the biggest misconception that I get, the kids think that they usually already have to play an instrument. And so if they haven't played something before, they immediately get scared. They think they're not going to be good at it. I explain that 100% of the kids that we get in band, actually 99%, have never played an instrument before, have almost no knowledge of music. They might know, recorder or something like that, but the way that transfers isn't the same. And so we explain that you do not have to have any natural talent or ability, that music is about practice and about discipline, and that there's not another beginning band class. I explain that after 6th grade, they can join in later grades. We don't turn students away, but it's always best for them to start now. And I explain that and why that's important for them to continue that practice. And then the most important thing, if you want to be the best in band, you can be. Nothing can beat hard work in music. The harder you try, the better you are. And then as soon as that slide's done, I take all their names down and we leave the room. They go to the band room with me.
That's awesome. Yeah, Hunter, again, just the simplicity of this is one of the things that I love, and it's so effective. And you get kids signed up, but you also address those objections. You get them out on the table, you create the opportunity to correct it. And then I think what your method indicates is that deep down, most kids want to be in band. There is just something that might be preventing them from doing that. And you're not waiting for them to ask that question. You're addressing it head on. And I love that. The other thing that's great is, how long does it take you to do this?
Usually we're in by 8 o'clock. We start around 8:05, and by 8:30, they're signing their names on a piece of paper and we're out of the room.
Yeah, so in 25 minutes, you can have these great recruiting results. So that's a great example. And so is it cool with you, Hunter, if we make a copy of that and just share it around as a template for people to use?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. And then Mr. Scott Lang, what's going on? We can't talk about recruiting and not talk about Be Part of the Music. So let's talk about some of the incredible resources that you have helped to create, because I suspect there's some educators here that might not be aware of what you have available at their fingertips for them.
Well, I appreciate it. So before we start, I just want to comment Hunter and the crew for some of the stuff he said. He was so spot on when he talked about and talking about and addressing fears. And the thing I always say is fear is more important than knowledge. In other words, if you put me up on a ledge and say, listen, we're going to catch you, I'm still not jumping because I'm more scared than I am knowledgeable. And when kids don't want to join music, it's often out of fear. Well, you're going to make me play in front of people, right? No. Well, I'm not that talented. That's a problem, right? No. Well, I don't own an instrument, right? No. That it's about removing barriers more than it is about sharing information. Because, how many of us know that eating better during times of COVID would make us healthier? Everyone. I'm eating Oreos like they're going out of style. It's unhealthy, and I don't care. How many of us know we should practice more, but our horns are sitting over there? Me. So it's not about what we know, it's about how we feel. And what Hunter and his colleague have done so well is make kids want to feel like they're a part of the band. And that's what it's about. It's about being a part of something. And the other thing I thought you said that was brilliant is, well, we bring kids and we bring 8th graders and stuff. Well, because you're using influencers. Kim Kardashian and her backside are not the only influencers on this planet. 8th graders influence 6th graders. 7th graders influence 5th graders. My wife influences me. That it's about using influencers. So really quick, before we dive into the rabbit hole that is Be Part of the Music, and I'll be super brief. Number one is, it's more about lessening fear than it is about sharing knowledge. And we use influencers to influence people. Parents influence parents, kids influence kids, band directors influence nobody. Nobody. So having said that, I'll do a quick screen share and I'll take you a walk through the park that is known as Be Part of the Music. So what I'm going to show you is Be Part of the Music. It should be on your screen now. this is a website, and I want to stress really quick that this was a team effort. In fact, Andrew, you obviously know Clayton Ledford from up at Stewart Creek. He did all my web work. He does all my print work. This is a group of people, and I just happen to be fortunate enough to get to work with them. Everything I'm going to share with you in this 2-minute tour or less is 100% free, and we want you to know that. And I would never tell you how to recruit, because every situation is different. Middle school, elementary school, high school, band, choir, orchestra, rich, poor, tall, short, whatever it is. What we do is we provide resources, and you design your own recruitment program. So taking you on the Disneyland tour of the 5 different lands that we have, we're gonna start with Videoland. So Videoland is, we have a bunch of materials that are out there. We have materials for kids, materials for counselors, materials for administrators, and videos for teachers. So you can sort them by band, choir, orchestra. You can sort them by middle school, high school, or other. This is one of my favorites. We actually have a video, and we break it down in there. The 10 most common questions, reasons why you wouldn't be in band, and we have middle schoolers address them head on. So super fun. So land number 1, akin to Tomorrowland, would be our Videoland. As you travel through Videoland and back to get a churro, you're gonna pass through the free website land. So free website is basically, we put together, well, let me be clear, Andrew, Clayton built this, put together a way in which you can answer 5 or 6 questions: your name, the name of your school, an email address to contact you at, the school color that your school is in, and then you write a real quick message, you hit submit, and you instantly have your own website. It has your information, recruitment advocacy. It explains band or orchestra, a message from you. This is an actual website I just pulled up randomly. But it preloads all of the instructional videos for you, parent stuff, kids stuff. And then this contact form doesn't even go to us. It goes straight to you. You can actually register kids for band, orchestra, through this website. And you can build it. If it takes you more than 3 minutes, we goofed something up. It's super quick, but what the point is, we'll do everything we know how to do so you can do what you do, which is recruit. Now, when you pass and get your churro at noon and you go around the corner trying to head to Star Wars Land, you're gonna pass our customizable documents. And basically what that is we have 36 documents available to address everything you could possibly need or want as a part of your recruiting process, including a phone script. So you can put your logo on it, change the color, copy the text, alter it, you make it all customizable. We want the world to not know about us, we want them to know about you. Now you're rounding back and you're probably getting pretty tired, so it's afternoon and you're looking for a shady spot in your journey through the worlds and lands of our Be Part of the Music website. So we're gonna run you by the recruitment blueprint. This is super cool. Wendy Higdon out of Carmel, Indiana wrote this. And basically what she did is she backtracked. If I recruit on February 1st and she backtracked all her tasks dating back to August. And what we did is we built an automation for it. So you put in when you're going to recruit and we will start sending you stuff at the right time, automated, delivered with so show this video, and we attach the video to the email. It's time for you to do a facility request. Here's a checklist for those sorts of things. And then last but not least, we have resources that you can order if you want to help you to go through that recruiting process. We have banners and books and pencils and all those sorts of things. So that is the Be Part of the Music website. You can go to bepartofthemusic.org. That's www.bepartofthemusic.org. Everything we do is free. Everything we do and share is free and customizable. Let us do what we do best so you can do what you do best. So with that being said, before I turn it back over, I just want to encourage all of the folks who are watching and a part of this wherever you are in your part of the world, that this moment represents a singular moment in your career. It's a singular moment maybe in our lifetimes. Never again will we be presented with an opportunity that is the land grab that we're seeing now. In terms of, you know, I said in 2008 when everything crashed, well, I'd love to own a restaurant right now. And my wife said, why? I said, because in 2 years, everyone's still going to be hungry, but half of these businesses will be out of businesses and I'm going to take them. You know, in the next 18 months, there are going to be no after school jobs because a lot of parents are going to be taking those after school jobs. And because staffing is going to change, there's going to be less after school activities, less clubs. People aren't going to be able to afford club soccer, club sports, club archery, club cheer. But we'll have the same number of kids in this country and they're looking for something to do. And I swear, if we do this right, we shouldn't just survive this, we should thrive in this environment. We should grow our programs. And if we fail to do that, it's no one's fault but our own. I'm not looking to survive the next year. I'm looking to grow my program by 20% next year. And whether I do it or whether I don't, I can't predict, but by God, I'm going after every child and I make no apologies about that. Let's go get every kid to be part of the music.
That's fabulous, Scott. Thanks so much. And listen, that website, the ability to scan a website like that, I mean, that is so innovative, so cool. And what better time to utilize? I mean, we need that resource right now. I mean, what a tremendous resource to have at our fingertips right now to create our own incredible looking recruiting website that'll sign the kids up for us. And you have, in your webinars, you have talked about the importance of validation, that we collect that data and then we validate it. And you've created the ability for directors to do that with no expense and to actually have data points that say, these are the kids that have checked the box to say, I want to be part of the music at my school. So what a tremendous resource. Yeah, that's great. Very good. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the summer, and Tyler, come back to you and Andrew a little bit, because y'all talked and referred to summer packets, that you're going to be sending packets home and that you've got some things that are going to be going out to prepare for the upcoming fall. Tell us a little bit more about that packet, because I think that's something that directors can utilize whether or not schools are open or closed. Andrew, you want to kick us off? Break your packet apart for us.
Sure, I'd be glad to. What we like to do is we send out a packet that's got a letter, just a welcome letter from us. It also has just some frequently asked questions, the stuff we all encounter. We also have, of course, again with the Clayton connection that Mr. Lang mentioned on our campus. He's a band parent of ours, and he's got a real nice brochure he's made for us, and I can show that in a second. That's in there, and well, let me just pull that up if I can do the screen share real quick.
Yeah.
All right, are you seeing it?
Not yet.
All right.
There you go.
Should be coming up. All right, is it there?
Yeah.
So this is the little brochure that we send out to parents. I'll just kind of scroll through it real quick. Lots of pictures and all the facts and everything. A little blurb about the high school band as well. We share a campus with them. And then just some of the things that parents want their kids to experience and we want them to experience. And then just a message from us. So that's one of the things that's in there. But one of the things I'm really proud of, and I can't take any credit for it all, if I can figure out how to get it up here. Let's see. Getting there.
So Andrew, while you're looking for that, I'm going to throw one little resource out. If looking at that brochure overwhelmed you, I don't know if you've ever heard of a program called Canva. We use that at Amro for a lot of cool design stuff, and they can do incredible brochures like that in a drag and drop format. So if you just saw that brochure from Andrew and thought, man, I would never be able to design that, I would encourage you to check out the website canva.com. It's an absolutely incredible program for doing online content design. Back to you, Andrew.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because what I'm showing you right now, I think was built in Canva. Miss Brittany Gerald, my teaching partner, she put this together last summer, and we added this as an insert to the brochure that goes out. And it's just real figures. We started first of last summer. We sent out a survey to our current students and their parents, and got just real feedback to be able to share this. Because can you see this on the screen?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So it just shows, how many students are involved in athletics and clubs and other things at our particular school. And then we also took an opportunity there to just get some quotes from parents and some things that they say. and specifically in line with that concern of, can I do this and be in other things? Again, that's probably our biggest battle at our school with recruiting students is that. So anyway, we put this in there, and that was a really great addition that she did last year. So that's what goes out in that summer packet.
Yeah, I love that. That's some really great stuff. And so, again, we'll share around some templates with everybody. And if design is not your thing, check out Canva. It's a wonderful website. Tyler, how about you, man? Y'all talked a little bit about packets for you. Tell us what that looks like in Mississippi.
Yeah, a lot of things are actually really similar in our packet as well. We start off with an introductory letter, just kind of branding what our band is all about and that we're interested in your child to be in band. And then we send out another page that has a bunch of links on it for the people who have internet and are able to access things. And I'm actually going to share my screen and show you. I stole this from Be a Part of the Music, but it's a Google form. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So we send this Google form. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, I've got this form where they can enter their email address and the student's name, phone number, email contact, gender, what school they come from, as far as their elementary school and their homeroom teacher. And I put in an instrument demonstration video. The Army Field Band does a really great demonstration video on YouTube, and you can just look this up on YouTube. But I embedded it in this, and they go through every single instrument, and they talk about how it makes a sound, and they demonstrate playing a couple different etudes on each one. And then the students have an option to choose their top 3 instruments. And then we set up a time for instrument testing. We've got 3 tentative dates for this summer, so they can select a time for those 3 tentative dates right here, and then they submit it, and it goes straight to a Excel sheet for me so I can see everyone's responses. So stop share on that. And then our next thing that we send out is a sheet that kind of correlates with that. So if you can't actually access the internet, we have basically that same form, but they can fill it out by hand. And we also have a sheet that explains every instrument and what it does and how it makes a sound, what it sounds like. And we give them links to where they can go and, maybe access some of these things if they have access to Wi-Fi at some point, but it may not be working very well. And then just an FAQ sheet in the back with all the common questions. One of which, as Andrew was talking about, is, what am I supposed to do if I want to do a sport and band? So that's a big thing to know going into this, know the answers to all those questions.
Yeah. Yeah, the common trend with all 3 of what you guys have talked about is being proactive in addressing objections and overcoming them, and not just waiting for the parent or the student to assume and have it maybe be the wrong answer. You guys are all getting out in front of that, so that's great. I want to turn the attention and talk a little bit about school counselors, because it's hard to have a really successful recruiting program and not have a great relationship, I think, with your school counselor. They play such an important role. So let's talk a little bit about what communications that you're having with your school counselor and how we can be an outstanding partner with them. Scott, I might lead off with you because I think you actually have some insight on school counselors and might be married to one.
I am. And as I told you the panel earlier when we did our meet and greet, I'm not saying I married her because she was a counselor, but I'm not saying I didn't marry her because she was a counselor. So counselors, believe it or not, even until I married my wife, I had no idea. They may be the second most overworked person on a campus after band director, cheer sponsor, and student council sponsor. Their workload is typically 450 to 1 is what the national average is. It's become their fire putter outers. They don't actually do any counseling because you would need to be at a ratio that's 200 to 1 to be able to do that. So a couple things you want to think about when dealing with your counselors. Number 1, you need to provide all the solutions for them. It's not, well, who registered for band? It's here's my Excel spreadsheet of who registered for band. It's cross-sectioned, it's alphabetized. I have their student numbers. And by the way, I only gave you the ones that apply to your assignment. My wife was A through L sophomore class. It's important for you to provide verification. So here's my list. Here's it cross-referenced. Here is what classes they should be in, first period, second period, third period. And here's the validator in terms of the email I got, the text message I got, the response I got. But not only because it provides validation verification, but it's something that they can do over the summer while their workload is actually been reduced, when they're not, staring the fire in the fire. The third thing I want you to think about when dealing with your counselors is the old American Ronald Reagan, the Gipper of trust but verify. And he first mentioned that when he was talking about dealing with Russia. But I've always treated that with the same response to my counselors, and that I'm going to trust that every student got registered, but I'm going to go back and verify. And before my wife was a counselor at a different school, my numbers were down one year by about 20 kids. And I was just beside myself because we all take it so personally. Like they must have quit band because of me. And what did I do? So I went down and I said, can I see all the blue sheets all the 8th graders filled out with all their class requests? And they go, sure. And it was a big binder of them. And sure enough, all the 20 kids who requested band is their number 1. But their number 2 or their number 3 was a brand new course that the counselors were trying to make at the direction of the administration. So any kid that had that course in their top 3 automatically got put in that one. And I grabbed all 20 sheets, took them out of the binder, walked them up and said, their first choice was band. Do you want to call their parents or do you want me to? And they put them all back into band. So number 1 is you want to provide them with all the resources and things that they need to do their job really, really well. Number 2, you want to provide them in a way, in a time frame that allows them to address these things on their schedule, which is usually more applicable towards the end of the year or summer. And number 3, if there's any kid that's missing from your roles that you think should be there, trust but verify. Yeah,
great point. Thanks, Scott. So Hunter, I want to come down to and talk a little bit about you guys, because your recruiting method is predominantly in the fall. So what conversations are you having right now with your school counselors? Because I have to imagine that the start of school year this year in particular, it's already chaotic. This year is going to be even more chaotic. So how are you keeping band as a priority and on their radar?
Yeah, so we usually do this in the spring, and it does make it a lot easier. The very first year we taught, we had to do this in the fall the exact same way we're going to do it this year. And essentially, the way that our elementary schedule works with 6th grade band is that they either go to music and art some days of the week and then go to the band, or if they're not in band, they go to music and art most of the days of the week, and then they have, I think, 1 day of library and PE. And so we're set up to do 3 days a week of beginning band, and we have a group and B group. A group comes on Monday through Wednesday, B group comes on Wednesday through Friday. And there are 4 homerooms for 6th grade. 2 of them come on Monday through Wednesday, 2 of them come Wednesday through Friday. And what we do is when they come to us that very first week of school, we're trying to do it all in one day where we can have a list of names already divided up for the counselors into which homeroom they need to come from to be in which group. And that's going to influence a lot of what instruments they play, specifically this year. But also, anytime we talk to the parents, they understand that their kid has to be in a certain homeroom to play the certain instrument they want. And then on top of that, with the junior high kids and the high school kids, if there are AP courses that maybe conflict with certain band classes, we go ahead and send them a list every single year denoting who needs the earlier, AP algebra, or who needs the later AP biology and things like that, just to make their lives easier. So they don't ever have to go through a list of names and try and figure out what class they should be in or where they should go. We send all of that to them because we have an understanding of how the master schedule works.
Yeah, that's great. And Andrew, how about for you guys? Because again, your recruiting method is very dependent on activity and a flurry of activity in the fall. Are you seeing a shift in expectation from your counselors this year?
I don't think we'll see a major change. I've already reached out to ours just to make sure that we're looking at kind of this similar thing that we've always done, which, as I said before, we do our enrollment in the fall in the first couple of weeks. I guess what I would say, though, to other directors that might normally do theirs in the spring and are used to having a roster in the spring and may not be able to do that this year, and they're trying to talk to their counselor and kind of reason with them and let them know that, hey, we might need a little more time to make this work. As I said, I was at the school when we opened, and we have students that come from 4 different elementary schools, and sometimes getting the communication with those schools can be kind of difficult. So right off the bat, I talked to the counselors that first year and said, can we do something where I've got a couple of weeks before we have to get them all in band, because we want to get this right the first time, so they're not dealing with schedule changes throughout the year because we just didn't do it right from the beginning. And as I said, we're trying to get parents to a meeting at the beginning of the year where we really spell things out. And one thing I'm really proud of is that every kid that joins our band in the 6th grade, we've met with their parents at some point before they've joined band. And it can be a daunting effort sometimes to make that happen, but we really get to talk about everything that's going to be involved in those expectations and that kind of thing. And it makes the year go smoother, but it also means we're not going to have those kids dropping throughout the year because it's just not what they were expecting, or their parents are frustrated, or whatever. And our counselors like that, so they know that, yeah, it's going to take us a week or two at the beginning, but it's well worth it in the long run to get that roster as set as we can from the top. So that might help you out if that's a conversation you're going to have with your counselors in coming weeks.
Yeah, I love that, Andrew. Back to Scott's point, you're trying to solve their problems for them. And if we get the roster wrong, we're creating problems and distractions. But if we can get it right, even if it takes an extra day or two, we'll alleviate it in the end. So, well, let's talk about administrators, because I think administrators have such a global view, particularly school principals, superintendents, things like that. And there's a lot of conversation about the loss of tested subjects right now and standardized testing and all of that. Do you guys have any plans to reach out and have conversations with your administrators to ensure that we keep music on their radar and make it a priority as we enter what might be the post-COVID world? Tyler, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've already been having some conversations with my administration. Pretty much every time I've talked with my counselor, I've CC'd my administration on all those conversations, and it seems like it's really positive. But I would say you want to, like Mr. Lang mentioned and Andrew talked about, you want to have a solution in place before you begin these conversations. And the solution is, in my opinion, you want to have, someone mentioned it to me before. I don't remember who said it, but that, like your school is like a house and your band is your front porch. And it's the first thing that everyone sees. It represents everything about your school. And so I kind of cater our band program to that philosophy. And, I come to my principal and say, is there anything you need the band to do? Do you want us to be a pep for you? Do you want us to play in the commons? Do you need us to play at football games? And just having those constant interactions with the administration keeps music a top priority for our kids. And so much so that when the state superintendent came and visited our school for test scores last year, he wanted the band to play. He wanted the band to be the introduction and to be the, send-off. And that was a really big honor just to have something to be able to represent that with. So I would say, just keep having those conversations and you can come with a solution to every problem you can possibly think of ahead of time. And that'll keep you in good graces for sure.
Yeah. And what a powerful question. What do you need the band to do? I mean, it's such a simple, but man, what is such a powerful conversation that you can have with an administrator, because what you're really saying is let me help solve your problems. And I think that's an awesome question to ask. Scott.
So a couple things. Number one, I've been very fortunate in my life. I've never worked for a bad administrator in my life. And, and the thing I always try and remind people is that it's not an administrator's job to understand you. It's your job to understand your administrator. He has 85 faculty. You have one principal. And I think it's important right now that you lay the groundwork with your administrator of, number one, I am first and foremost a member of your faculty. I'm a part of a bigger team. More than I'm a music teacher, I'm a part of your team. And I want to do whatever it is to support you as long as I feel it doesn't impede in student success. And the second thing is, when it comes time to make the hard decision, just involve me. That's all I ask. Before you make that decision of what you need to do or what that budget's going to look like or how instructional time is going to be parsed or what the opening of school is going to feel like, all I ask is that you give me 5 minutes to hear what you're doing and let me share with you what my thoughts and concerns on and how I can help make it better. And those are the conversations you have right now. If you haven't already emailed your administrator saying, number one, I'm a part of your team. I'm Go Team Administrator. And number two, whatever you decide, I will support because I work for you, but give me the opportunity to be a part of that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Scott. So, and Tyler, Scott, I think you're 100% on the money here, and just the importance of just being proactive and communicating and trying to solve their problems. I want to shift gears a little bit and bring our guys from Arkansas and Middle Tennessee back in. We're getting a lot of conversations about instrumentation, getting a lot of questions about how we're planning to do instrumentation. And so, Hunter and Sebastian, have you guys given any thought to what your plans are and dividing up instrumentation for this fall?
By dividing, honestly, you could speak about this because you gave us the method. A lot of our instrument testing is done with the method from Texas, where you look at their facial structure, and but really, out of their top 3 choices, I don't think we've ever given a kid something that's out of their top 2. Yeah. But as far as instrumentation goes, it usually depends on how many kids we have. We have a set number. We think we need this many flutes and this many clarinets to kind of fill out all of our bands. But at the end of the day, if kids want to play flute or kids want to play trumpet or kids want to play trombone, we usually like to let them play what they want.
Yeah. So you guys request preferences, and then you also take into consideration their facial structure, and then assign them to an instrument based on that. So you guys are testing or assigning instruments really without a mouthpiece ever touching their face?
Well, we do instrument testing as far as their mouthpiece touching their face, and that does play sort of a factor into it. We might not do that this year. That'll be a conversation we have to have with our administrators, whether they're comfortable with that or not. But would you want me to show you the spreadsheet of what we have pulled up when we're doing that?
Yeah, that would be great. And the method you referenced in Texas, I'll be happy to share that reference sheet. So we borrowed this from Benjamin Easley, who's at Nolensville High School there outside of Nashville. And he borrowed it when he was student teaching in Texas. And basically what they're referring to is it looks at the natural facial structure of the kid based on their teeth, their lips, and their chin, and gives them a score that will set them up for success based on their facial structure. And so we've got some schools starting to use that. So I will share that reference sheet with everybody at the end of it that Hunter's referring to here.
I'm pulling that up now. It's taking just a second. Okay. All right, can you see it?
It's coming up right now. There it is.
And so this is what we use. We put all the students' names on the side. In this box, facial structure, there's a number you put for their chin, a number you put for their lips, and a number you put for their teeth. And when you put those 3 in under the recommendation, it'll pop up a list of instruments based on facial structure that they would most likely be able to play. And when we cross-reference this with their top choices and these highlighted colors, green means they were proficient at it. Yellow means they could sort of make a sound, but it wasn't the best. And red means they couldn't get a sound at all with just a few minutes of trying to coax a sound out of the mouthpiece. And so the dark green is what we put them on. And as you notice, almost all the kids on this list, they either got their first or second choice. We haven't put, I don't think in 2 years, we put anyone on their third choice or outside of their top 3. And when we cross-reference that with the recommendations, most of the time, the ones that they can actually make a sound on fit that method with their facial structure and what they were recommended to play. On top of that, we have a section that we put all their scores in from their aptitude test. And then we have a notes section where we put whether they already own an instrument, because that's a huge factor for a lot of families. If their older brother already played trumpet and they can make a sound on trumpet and their family wouldn't have to spend, extra money that they probably don't have to get another instrument, then we want them to have that one. And so that's kind of all the things that we take into account when we're instrument testing.
I love this, Hunter. This is both an art and a science, and you've kind of combined the two of them here as well. Andrew, how about for you guys? What is your plan for instrumentation for the upcoming fall?
Yeah, typically we also do the mouthpiece, we call them mouthpiece fittings. And we usually do that on a Saturday by appointment, and all the kids come in over the course of the day. We usually get a couple other band director friends to help us with that. And we give the kids a score between 1 and 5 on each instrument, just based on how they did making a sound on it and all the other factors that are involved. And then ultimately, it's still their choice. We talk about instrumentation and balancing it out and that kind of thing, but we give them that score to use to make that decision. The only thing that we require a quote unquote audition is percussion. And then we've got a process we take those students through if they'd like to audition for percussion. Now, I will throw this out there because the discussions we're obviously having is, you know, how can we still do that, or can we still do that in the situation we're in now, and looking at different options. And I will throw this out that if you know the name Rachel Maxwell, band director in Illinois, just phenomenal band program, Trauber Junior High, been played at Midwest. She's on Band Director Group on Facebook, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with. And she started a thread on there, and she's posted some of her resources that she's using because she has the additional challenge of having to have the instrumentation set before school starts. And so they're doing that. She's abandoned the traditional mouthpiece fittings, and they're doing that through video and through preferences of having kids watch demonstration videos. I know she's using some of Scott Lang's materials for that. But she's put some great stuff out. So if you're part of that group, I'd recommend checking out her stuff because she's got some great ideas for how to do this a little differently if we don't have that opportunity to let kids try instruments.
Yeah, that's great. So we do have some resources around out there. And, you know, it sounds like for you, maybe you've got a backup plan in place if you're not able to do your normal fitting method. But at this time, there's just still a lot of questions and not a lot of answers as to what next year and to what next year might look like. So great point. And I remember a band director told me this one time, and it was so influential. It just kind of stuck with me. He said, you know, the instrumentation is great, but the recruiting is really what's important because you can't teach an empty chair. And so right now, you know, I think it's so important that we kind of keep that front and center that, you know, we have a lot of questions that we can figure out next fall or later. But if we're in a pinch, the recruiting is really what's most fundamental about this, because if we don't get them in band or get them in orchestra, what they're going to play really becomes irrelevant, and it departs on us. So, Andrew, we've got some questions. Can you say that person's name again from Illinois, Rachel?
Rachel Maxwell.
Rachel Maxwell. Very
Yep.
good. Now, and we'll try to, I'm going to listen to this conversation again, and we'll try to reference as much of these materials back as we possibly can in the email that you're going to receive from us at the conclusion of all of this. So very good. Well, guys, we're approaching the 60-minute mark. So I just want to close us out with, do you have any other closing thoughts or advice that you would like to share with everyone before we call it a day? So Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Any closing thoughts or advice that you want to share with everyone?
Communicate as much as possible. Get on the phone, call these parents, get the kids' butts in a seat, and you will have a magical year. There's no reason why you can't have the largest recruiting class you've ever had just because of something that's happening in the world today. So, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest advice I have. And have fun doing it. You have to sell it. You have to be energetic, and you have to love what you do because you can't sell what you don't love. So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Tyler. Hunter and Sebastian, anything you guys want to add, closing thoughts or advice?
Yeah, so we had been thinking about the administrator question, and I kind of wanted to go over some stuff with that. We've been extremely active in letting our administrators know about our private lessons and the kind of the programs we're doing. And we were extremely proactive in that the Friday that we had our last day of school, we didn't even know it was going to be our last day of school. We kind of had thoughts. And so we brought all of our video stuff home, all of our books and all of our instruments that we needed. And the next week we were already teaching lessons. And so before our school had a plan, we were kind of doing that, and being proactive like that is definitely a big step to letting your administrators know that music is still on the radar and still important to all the students and their families. And then on top of that, we're being extremely active on social media, trying to post on Facebook and make sure all of our parents know what's going on and through our school page and things like that.
And another thing, this kind of collaboration that we're doing right now doesn't have to be a one-time Zoom session. We've had, during this session, we've had text messages from a friend who just recently accepted a position at another school. We've had our region band directors meeting where another director shared a spreadsheet for us to all share ideas on things to do during this. So make sure you reach out to your band director colleagues, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, we have so many questions, but so many people are trying to solve those problems right now, and we don't have to solve them alone. So I think you're 100% right on that, Sebastian. Mr. Andrew Lynn.
Sure. You know, we've got this opportunity now with this extra time we've got. We're not at school in the thick of everything we're doing. So use that time to be creative and just to think outside the box a little bit about what you can do for next year's group. And, you know, have a plan. We're not on vacation right now. This is not downtime. This is time to really get in there and make plans, but also know that those plans might change once you start talking to principals and figuring out what's going on. But you know, if we put our mind to it and do what band directors do, we can still have a great year.
That's exactly right. And Scott, how about you? Any closing thoughts? And in your closing thoughts, do you mind telling us about what's coming up for Be Part of the Music? Because y'all got good things cooking right now that everybody needs to know about.
Well, I appreciate that. So first we have, if you go to joinsll.com, there's a resource there for online curricula for teaching character education, social emotional learning, and leadership. That's all available for free, by the way. And we've had volunteers inside that group creating Google Docs so you can import everything right in your Google Classroom and assess it and get real-time feedback from the kids. We have over 3,500 schools and almost 500,000 kids around the world involved in that. So that is a resource you want to be aware of. It's called Leadership University. You can get it at joinsll.com. Every Monday and Wednesday is a lesson. Every Friday is an activity. The second thing you want to be aware of is our Friday webinars we're doing. We do a Friday every webinar at 1 o'clock Eastern time. This Friday's webinar is going from surviving to thriving. And it's called Preparing and Programming for the Next 3 months. And we're gonna just have a conversation about what do you need to do financially, educationally, and programmatically to be ready to adapt to whatever comes our way. Because anybody who tells you they know what's coming your way is lying to you or selling you something. And the third thing is to check out some of our new resources, our build a website and all those sorts of different things that we have. We have new videos coming out almost every month or two, so you want to check that out. So those are resources. In terms of a final thought, and Andrew, I think, hit it right on the head. And he's, you know, Andrew, I think we first met 15 years ago at PPC, and he's smarter than I'll ever be. But Mozart said, the music is made in the rests. And I feel like, you know, that we're in that same situation, that our programs will be made or broken in between the spots when we make music. He said the most profound music happens in between the F sharps and the B flats. It's that space of silence, and inactivity is when we create, generate what's next, musically, personally, and educationally. So this is a musical pause, and it is certainly a crisis, but it's also a gift. And there's the Chinese character for crisis is a 2-character formula, and 50% of it says danger, and the other 50% says opportunity. This is an opportunity. This is our rest. This is our moment to rethink how we do what we do and why we do it. And if we return, even if the school day is normal, the schedule is normal, if we return to school in August and we haven't grown from this opportunity as a teacher, as a person, as an educator, as a leader of young people, then that's a crime. That's just an out and out crime. Take this time, as Andrew said so eloquently, to think, to process, to reflect, to repose, and find something that we can do even better when we return.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys. As we wrap up, I just want to put a few closing comments. Man, first off, to our panelists, bravo. Thank you. You guys were fantastic. Again, we're going to be sending around an email that's going to have a professional development letter, a link to today's recording, and then all of the different resources that were referenced. If you're joining us today through the Zoom ID, which means that you did not register, you just punched in a Zoom ID, you probably want to email me and if you want those resources. So it's nick@amromusic.com, nick@amromusic.com. That ensures that I can email you all of the follow-up. We're not going to market. We're not going to solicit. This is not about that. We want to provide you with the resources that you need to be successful. Again, if you registered through Zoom, we're going to send you all of those resources. Next week, we've got another great conversation taking place at the same time on Zoom as it relates to retention. We've worked so hard to recruit these kids. We're going to talk about how to keep the kids that you've already recruited. If you want to be a part of that conversation, you will need to re-register, as it's going to be on a different Zoom ID. So be looking out for that. I'll be sure to link to it in our closing email for tomorrow. And then the following week, we're going to be talking about music advocacy, STEAM, not just STEM, how to advocate for the arts in our school. So to all of our panelists, thank you so much. To all of our educators, thank you for what you do as you are changing lives out there. Everybody have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and thanks for being a part of tonight's After Hours. Bye, everyone.